Good afternoon, everybody. 8 minutes past 12 noon this Wednesday lunchtime. It is Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Danny Murphy, and we are live on TalkSport with you all the way through until 1 o'clock. Many messages coming in following our discussion there about Slavia Prague seemingly getting their way last night with the LGBTQ plus flag moved, not flown, moved. From being right bang in front of the Slavia Prague visiting support last night. They didn't want it. They didn't want it there. And in the eyes of many, Tottenham acquiesced as a result of that. And the flag was not flown last night. There is a message there coming in. I'm looking at many messages coming in on this. Good afternoon to you. Having LGBTQ flags at a match is far less harmful than having alcohol, gambling and junk food rammed down our throats at every home game. If Simon thinks there's equality here in the UK, then he is living in a bubble. Spoken like a true privileged, entitled, rich white man.
Who's that from? Mr. Quentin Crisp.
There is maybe coincidentally no name on that message, but it is one of many messages coming in nonetheless.
What's privilege about choices? You choose to be involved in gambling. You choose to have a beer. You choose to have a hot dog. You don't choose to have a flag stuck in your face and then the ideologies behind it confronting you the everyday life.
An official complaint against Gianni Infantino has been filed with FIFA Ethics Committee after Donald Trump was handed that Peace Prize at last week's World Cup draw in Washington, D.C. The campaign group FairSquare has alleged, quotes, repeated breaches of political neutrality by Infantino. FairSquare have previously advocated for the rights of migrant workers, remember, during the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. 4 alleged breaches, not 1, 2, not 3, but 4 alleged breaches relating to Infantino's relationship with Trump are cited by FairSquare as breaching neutrality in Article 15 of FIFA's Code of Ethics. So FairSquare are an organisation who are well and truly going after Infantino and FIFA. Nick McGeehan is chief exec of FairSquare. Nick, good afternoon. What about this then? Has Infantino really broken his own rules?
Good afternoon, Jim. Yes, he has. He's very clearly broken his own rules on 4 separate occasions, as you mentioned in your introduction. There's a very clear rule within FIFA's Code of Ethics that officials are supposed to remain politically neutral in dealings with government institutions. So he broke the rule before he even gave the prize to Trump. He said that we should all support Donald Trump's political agenda. He encouraged and said he should have won the Nobel Prize. So those are 2 very obvious instances where he's done it. There's a couple more. And also the entire, the manner in which the prize was organised, like introduced and then awarded, appears also to have been a pretty clear breach of FIFA's rules and really a gross abuse of presidential power.
Nick, I mean, I read the report, or some of the report that you produced when you came in the studio a few months ago, whenever it was, and I'm all for you guys keeping FIFA honest and trying to break down the barriers of the opaqueness of the organisation. But when you talk about the political neutrality of the situation, I don't think they were talking about his policies towards domestic stance or his particular leaning in politics. They were talking about his contribution towards peace in Gaza and the Ukraine rather than his political leaning. So whilst I understand you're trying to make a point, and your real point is to try and keep FIFA honest, I think this is a little bit flaky.
Well, I disagree. First of all, there was a comment made on November the 5th in Miami when he was asked about his relationship with Trump.
Yep.
And he said he considered him a close personal friend. Said that he was just doing what he was elected to do. And he said, I think we should all get behind him. I think we should all support him. Now, that's nothing to do with his foreign policy. That's to do with his domestic political agenda. He's very clearly...
What's the context? Just out of curiosity, what's the context of that? He's allowed to have a friend in a president, and he might have a friend in the opposition parties in America because he wasn't particularly asked about that. Are we talking about getting behind his agendas to make the World Cup the best version of itself? What is the context of him speaking in regards to questions that are being asked of him?
Yeah, it's not the part about the friend. He's allowed to say that. Yeah. It's a bit injudicious, I would say, but he's allowed to say that. It's the part where he says, I think he's doing a good job. We should all support him. Now, he's basically expressing very clear support for president. Now, it doesn't matter what you think about Trump, right? Trump is the president of the world, right?
Yeah.
But the fact is, he's very clearly expressing support for him. On the point about the peace and the foreign policy, I think that's clearly the line that FIFA would say. They would say, "Oh, it's about peace." It's not about peace. It's
but again,
about.
I'd ask you the question: if he's dealing with domestic issues and policy decisions, is he talking about in conjunction with he's doing a good job of promoting the World Cup and maybe arguments about football matches being considered to be played in different environments because Trump's getting involved with moving football matches because of issues? Is he talking about the World Cup and America's involvement of it, or is he talking about Trump's political views on the landscape of America? Because if he's talking about the World Cup, why is he not allowed to say, listen, I'm no Infantino fan, I'm behind you guys keeping him honest? But if he's talking in conjunction with the World Cup, aren't you just really on a bit of a fishing expedition to make some noise?
He's not talking about the World Cup. That's the whole point, Nick, isn't it?
How do you know?
I mean, were you surprised, Nick, that he gave him that FIFA and Infantino moved so quickly to do this with Trump, to give him a peace prize in such a high-profile moment?
Yeah, just to go back to Simon's point, you're absolutely right. He has to forge a political relationship with the US president. Nobody's disputing that. But the comment about political support, it wasn't about the World Cup.
Okay.
It was a general question. So it's a flagrant breach of the rules, I would say.
You accept that, Simon? You accept that it wasn't about the World Cup?
Now that I'm privy to the context of it, if the context is what Nick is advancing, because Nick's not going to advance Infantino's argument, he's going to advance his, isn't he? And your bias towards Trump will lead you to advance any argument against him. The fact is, yours.
Don't be ridiculous.
We listen to it all the time in the studio. You can't bear the man. Bear the man. If
it wasn't so laughable, it wouldn't be such a serious matter, would it, Nick? The bottom line is that if it wasn't so laughable, that Infantino, I mean, when you see the final alleged breach, and this comes from you guys, Nick, refers to a video published on Infantino's Instagram account in January in which he thanked Trump for inviting him to the presidential pre-inauguration rally. I mean, it started then, didn't it? What was he doing there?
Yeah, I mean, this is the question. What is he doing there, and what is the basis of this relationship? And why is he so close to Trump and vice versa? I mean, I think there is one plausible explanation for it, which is quite disturbing if there's any truth to it. I wonder if Trump knows that the World Cup is a swindle, that it's a scam, because it is a scam, right? FIFA takes all the ticketing money, it takes all the sponsorship money, it takes all the broadcasting money, all of it. And all the cost for preparing it goes to the host government. On top of that, Trump promised them tax exemptions on all the revenue. So at any moment, I think Infantino probably knows that Trump could turn around and say, do you know what, Gianni, you're not getting the tax exemptions. Now, if that is the case, you have a situation where Trump has leverage over the FIFA president, and we know how he exerts leverage. So is it possible that this prize and this medal and all of this stuff is the quid pro quo for allowing FIFA to waltz off with hundreds of millions of dollars that should be, in the US tax exchequer? I think it's highly possible.
Isn't there? Can I just ask a quick one, a bit lighter now? But isn't the Ronaldo situation? Isn't that an obvious?
Yeah, I think so. There's so many cases, Danny. What you have is an organisation that just applies its rules when it suits them and breaks its rules.
So, do we expect to see the members of the IOC in America and hobnobbing with the various officials and politicians when the Olympics is being brought to America? Just out of curiosity, because I bet we do.
Yeah, I do, but it's not. Hobnobbing's okay. Right? Hobnobbing's fine. You can do all the hobnobbing you like, right? You can have close relationships with them. You can talk about the various issues around hosting, which are complex and needs.
Yeah, I don't think the IOC have got any plans to hand Trump a peace prize.
Well, they haven't got one. That's why.
I mean, the bottom line again, Nick, is that you're calling for the ethics committee to investigate the circumstances surrounding the decision to introduce and award a FIFA Peace Prize to Trump. But after that, where does it go? From your point of view, where does it go?
Well, I mean, we're not naive. We don't expect this complaint to be taken seriously. We think it's important that you outline the arguments and you access the mechanisms that are supposed to hold these people accountable.
I think that's right.
If they don't take this seriously, what it highlights is that the FIFA president can essentially break rules whenever he likes, and there'll be no comeback for it. And that's a serious issue. And after that, I think what we need to be talking about in FIFA, and this was what we talked about in the studio last time I was in, is I think policymakers have to look at this organisation and think, A, it's abusive, it's extractive, it takes hundreds of millions of dollars out of countries, and is it doing a good job? Is it really sustainably governing the game that we all love and want to see improve? I don't think it is, and more attention needs to be paid to it.
Nick, thank you very much indeed. Nick McGeehan, Chief Exec of FairSquare, on, amongst other things, that Peace Prize that Trump so quickly took the medal and put it around his neck.
Fair enough, recently.
We all watched from distance and shook our heads, or some of us did. Maybe you didn't, Simon.
No.
20 past 12.
I haven't got a bias.